Greetings, friends. Your cartoonist pal Stan here with a new episode of Random Encounters, the show where I use random encounter tables, like the kind you find in tabletop role playing games, such as Dungeons and Dragons, and together with input from you, the live chat audience, live studio audience, live from Burbank. Input from you, the live studio audience. I create prompts, randomly generated prompts. It hadn't existed before. And then I think about them and I draw them for your entertainment and mine. And my main point here, the main reason I started this, the thing I'm trying to encourage isn't drawing. Drawing is fun. Drawing just for the sake of drawing is fun. And that's what this is all about. So I encourage you to grab your own notebook or sketchbook or stack of printer paper or back of an envelope or whatever you got, and a pen or a pencil, marker, crayon, stick that you stick in your coffee or the dirt and draw with it. Whatever. Just grab it and do some drawing. Do some drawing for fun. You can draw the same things I'm drawing. You can use the same prompts to draw those. You can draw whatever. You can look up something I did on a previous night and draw that. You can draw a version of something you've got there in front of you, a book cover or a cartoon or comic that you like. Or just draw random geometric patterns and shapes and waves and just color. Maybe just color randomly. Grab a coloring book. Do some coloring. Just do something artistic for the fun of it. That's what this is all about. So, welcome to another show where I don't know what I'm going to do, and I won't know until we figure it out. And then while I'm doing the drawing, I'll be chatting with you. I will give you some tips and insights as to what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, the thoughts behind it. Often kind of go off on these little musings and wanderings about the nature of creativity and what I'm thinking and how I'm thinking about it, particularly for doing cartoons and comics and writing them. Um, this may be of use to you. Hopefully it will at least be moderately interesting to you, and if not, the drawings hopefully will keep you focused and happy. So, here we go. Time to grab my iPad, because I do my drawing on an iPad Pro with an Apple Pencil and the app Procreate, none of which are sponsors for the show. I don't have sponsors for the show, though. Certainly open to possibility. Let's see if we can find some one of these days. That'd be nice. This is where I do my drawings. I do that all my professional work these days. Just about all of my professional work for the last 5 or 6 years has been done on the iPad with these tools. I love them. I love them. I love them. But I also still like to draw just using a ballpoint pen. That was always actually my favorite physical art medium was ballpoint pen. It didn't always fit what I was doing. I rarely could use it for jobs, but yeah, I just love doing that. Hello, Michael in chat. Say picture pages. Time to grab your crayons or your pencils. You know what? Maybe I've done coloring book stuff in the past. I've published self-published little coloring books. I've done coloring book drawings and work for clients. Maybe I should start creating coloring pages that I can release with this show. So something, if you don't want to, you're not feeling comfortable doing drawing on your own, you can just draw. You can color along with the show with a page specifically prepared by me for your use. Not a bad idea. I'll have to think about that one. Oh, that was on Captain Kangaroo. Of course it was. Of course it was. I knew it felt familiar, but used to watch. I used to watch the heck out of Captain Kangaroo when I was little. Okay. All right. Let's see. We're gonna come up here. I'm gonna get myself ready. I've had a little sip, and it's time to get going. So I will come over to this screen here and click that. This is the encounter table or the encounter tables that we will use for today's drawings. I have not set up my dice, but there they are. All right, you ready? I'm ready. Let's do it. So we're going to roll the dice and roll the dice and roll the dice, and we're going to get a 6 and a 9. In case you're wondering, I can tell it's a 6 and a 9 by the placement of the dot. The dot is at the bottom of the number on these dice. So the bottom on the 6 is on the black dice, and the bottom is a 9 on the white dice. So it's 9 for who and 6 for what, right? Because we see on our encounter tables that who is the white die, what is the black die. So that means we've got which and breakfast cereal, right? It was 2, wasn't it? Yes. No. 6, 9, and 6. 9 and 6. So it's which and back to school. Back to school which is what we're drawing on our first drawing of the day. So I'm sorry, I'm not at all prepared. I was doing work this day. I was working on coloring um, the drawing that I did last night, or I was working on last night for my other show, and I kind of let time get away from me, and I was a little late getting prepared, so not quite as set as I usually am. That would be wonderful. Letter-sized art pieces. Yeah, well, that's what I would do. I'd prepare them for to be printed out on letter sheets of letter-sized paper, and then you guys could print them out. Um, so we've got a witch, back to school, and witch is what we've got. So the question is it witch the teacher or is the witch a student? Um, Are they just showing up in the classroom? Are they flying in on their broom to the first day of school? I'm thinking if this was a drawing that I was going to do and spend an hour or so or whatever time it took to draw it, I'm going to do a quick uh, uh, estimation, and I would probably have the witch, a little girl witch, and a bunch of kids running into a school on day one. Everyone's going in on day one. Some version of that is what immediately pops to my mind. However, that is um, more complicated than I think is appropriate for this situation. Seeing as what I'm trying to do here, or what I do on this show, is a quick drawing that I try and get done in about 20 minutes or less, or half an hour or less. So that's not going to work there. So back to school. Maybe it's just maybe it's just an in-school drawing. So what? I very often will go with one shot like this with a teacher's desk and a blackboard. That's a good show the scenery set up for any kind of school scene. Um, I'm thinking we gotta. Here's what I'm thinking. We got our little witch, and not when I say that, that brings up my little witch Willow character to mind, but I'm not drawing that character here in particular. So, gonna have her reading an essay, and that's gonna be that's gonna be the gag. What little gag there is here is gonna be. Uh, let's see how to do this. I think I want to take this witch character and make her a little smaller, so it's clear that she's a kid. I think I want to put a teacher here behind the desk who's going to be looking shocked. Um, the blackboard. Going to have some kind of message like "Welcome back, students." Or no, 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 no. It'll say something like, um, mm, "Summer essays due today," and then our little witch is going to be reading an essay about what she did on her summer vacation. And then it's going to be something like, and here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking I will drop this in in text, in printed text, uh, like it's a New Yorker cartoon. So we can draw this. Um, Drawing without any fear about what. Um, for some reason, kids don't bring me apples. Yeah. Well, if I was going to go over the teacher as the witch, there's some good jokes. There's a good line of joke in there. Um, and sadly, I've already decided I'm doing something else. All right, so she's going to be saying something like, uh, uh, "Who I hexed on my summer vacation." Something like that. There's a uh, since I'm going to be dropping that in last, you can play around with that, throw ideas around of what the subject of her essay is actually going to be. It's going to be summer essays. That's what it is, for sure. So, having laid that out like that, let's get in here and do some drawing. Let's start with our little witch. We're on the right layer, right? We're on the lines layer. We're going to come in here. And I will Because I always say that you should start with the things you are most confident in. I was most confident in that face. I'm second most confident in this hat. Don't like that. And then we're going to have her little hands come out here. Not loving that dress. I know we're just going for the standard witchy poo dress thing, but I'm not loving that. But again, what we're going for here is not a finished drawing. But a good idea that we'll put down on paper for a quick cartoon. Like, the idea is to do this quickly. Now, all right. There's what I was thinking was I wanted to put some kind of fold on the back of the paper to make it seem not quite so flat. But I'm going to do that with the color rather than with the with a black line. So I was putting it on there. I thought it's drawing too much attention to itself. That's the other thing I always say is you want to make sure the lines you put down are creating the attention in your reader that you want them to have. They don't have to be right. They just don't have to communicate the wrong message. They don't have to make. They don't. You don't want them to make the reader look at things you don't want them to look at, or ask questions you don't want them to ask. And our teacher is very surprised at what our little witch student is saying in her essay. There we go. Now, tell you another thing I'm going to do, which isn't going to show up till the end. Although I've written that summer essays bit on the board already, I'm not going to write it here. I'm going to color the board and then write it in white. And color the board kind of green, like it's going to be a blackboard as opposed to a whiteboard. And then, because it's written in chalk, I'm going to put the text in white. All right. Hello. What's it? Krilivanov 8? Krilivanov, hello. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. We're doing Witch Back to School. That is our first prompt for the evening. Okay. That's looking pretty good. We're going to drop the sketch layer out and see where maybe a little extra detail might be helpful. Mostly that's looking good. So I'm going to go to the color layer, switch to the gloaming brush, standard Procreate brush that I like to use. It's got a very crayon-y slash markery feeling, which allows me to do very quick style coloring that I like to do, which I refer to as shape within shape. I find within each creature, each character that I'm working on, the different shapes that make it up. And rather than color a big flat, fill in all the stuff space, I color the shapes. And that helps to create an extra feeling of three-dimensionality and texture that wouldn't otherwise be there. So you know what? I'm gonna take that out. I think our little witch is gonna not have standard pink fleshy color. She's gonna have a green tint, even though I've drawn her like, you know, any old little girl. She is. I haven't drawn her like a cartoony, witchy, you know, big nose, warty kind of witch. She's just a little cartoony witch, but she does have green skin. There we go. And now, like I said, I'm going to take a little blue and I'm going to put those bits on the back of the paper like that. So it looks crinkly, but it's not drawing as much attention to itself as it would if I did it with the black lines like I had in before. Color in the desk. You notice I'm using different versions of the same color, darker versions of the same color, to create so things aren't flat like that. Now, if you're coloring digitally, you can do that. You can take the color and change it slightly darker and darker. If you're coloring with crayons, or very often with markers, certainly colored pencils, one of the things you can do is change how much pressure you're putting on it. If you use the same pencil, the same colored pencil, or the same crayon, and you color lightly with it, and then you use the same one and press a little harder, use the same one and press even harder, they're going to look like slightly different colors, and you can achieve the same kind of effect. Not as maybe not as thoroughly as actually changing the colors does, but I think if you just play around on your own coloring, you'll find that it's true. And it'll help just add a little extra dimension to what you're doing. I think that if you do that kind of thing, the people around you who are used to just seeing you do regular old coloring will be, you know what, they will give you compliments on it. It will seem like you made a great leap forward. Say, ooh, how did you do that thing? And the answer will be, it's a trick that Stan taught me. You don't have to tell them that. You can just talk about how skilled you are. All right. And so now I'm going to come back to my lines layer, switch back to the inking brush and a white, change the ink, the color that I'm writing with to white. And it's going to be, so like I said, it's going to look like chalk on the blackboard. Summer vacation essays due today. All right, now, what do I want to do here? What do I want to do here? Well, I'll tell you, one of the things I want to do is come back in here. My shape within a shape left a little bit too much space there, so I want to add it back in. There we go. I want to grab a little light purple. I'm going to put a shadow under the desk and a shadow under our witch to show that she's just give it a little more of a feeling of place. And what else do I want to do? I think go back to my lines layer. I'm going to do this. I'm going to put some lines on the floor like this to make it seem like there's a linoleum tile on the floor. Really, I don't know, that really changes that difference to make the whole thing feel like like it's set in a location. We put a little shadow under the chalkboard too. There we go. What else do I want to do? I think, speaking of shadows, change that so it looks like there's a bit of a shadow there. There we go. Looking pretty good. I like that. All right, so now, the question is, the question is, Michael says, how I learned to properly vivisect a pig for augury. All right, that's very wordy, but I like what that is. To all the friends I've cursed before, it's a good one. Uh, um, what? So now I'm gonna take the whole thing, take everything we've done so far, move it a little bit up on the page, because at the bottom, I'm now gonna drop in some text. Make that black. And we're going to put it there. I'm going to change it to basic Times New Roman, and the size is going to be 25, I think. If I've done this a few times before, that might be a little small, but we'll start there. All right. What's our caption going to be? Right now, it was who I hexed on my summer vacation. All right, we look at that, and I'm going to say, let's take that text and just make it 30. Is that going to be too big? No, that's going to be good. Okay. And we'll just drop that below it. And we've got ourselves a nice little drawing. I'm going to go back to the inking layer, and I'm going to put my stand in the corner here. Because I think we've got ourselves which back to school. Who I hexed on my summer vacation. Boop, 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 boop. Done. Drawing number 1. Done. Let's see what's going on here. Despite it being exceeding late, sometimes it pays. Was it very late where you are, Krila Vanov? I thank you for staying up. And if it is very late, you need to go to bed. You can watch it on replay. Though while you're here, please interact. I'm happy to chat and answer questions and things like that. Picture pages. Oh, you're going back to that. The Captain Kangaroo thing. Yes. Maybe that's a different show for me. Maybe I can do a coloring show. I don't know that that's got as much legs as this one. I don't know that I have as much to say, but maybe there we go. All right. Oof. First drawing down. Have another sip here. Let's get ready. We're gonna move along next and do another drawing. Get another drawing done. So I'll close out group 1 and turn on group 2. Go back to here and have my drawing brush with blue, because I like to do my drawings in blue. Come back to the encounter tables. Have one more little sip of my diet soda. We drew a witch going back to school. Let's see what the dice say we should do for our second drawing tonight. So come along, go back to the dice and roll them, and we get the same numbers, the exact same numbers. Oh, well, randomness will get you that, but doesn't really help. All right, 4 and 8 are the numbers we have now. So 4 is a Treant, and 8 is skipping stones. All right, Treant, skipping stones. That's what we're going to draw for our second drawing. So a Treant, for those of you who don't know, same as an Ent from Lord of the Rings. It's a giant ambulatory living tree. It doesn't have to be giant, but it's a big living tree. So what I need is a posture of someone throwing a stone. Now, for someone throwing a stone, they're going to be throwing like that. But I guess if they're getting ready to throw it, they're like that. If they've thrown it already, they've thrown it like that. So I think we probably want to have thrown it already. Now, this is a little strange because they probably wouldn't still have their foot up. They'd have stepped while throwing, but it's kind of... no. Now, the trouble here is that I do this in a square format, and if, just kind of to show you here, in a square format, if our person is huge, we can't see them skipping. If we want to see someone skipping a stone, we want to have a person here And the stone goes out that way, and we go skip, skip, skip. Now, it might be easier to do it coming forward that way. I'm thinking it's good foreshortening so that we're looking backwards. I know this maybe isn't making any sense to you. If I'm trying to do something to help explain, and yet I realize that I'm not explaining. I'm drawing too fast and not saying enough for that to have meaning. So, go again. If I have this treant here, first of all, it's got to be a big tree. And then we can have the skipping stone come off and skip and skip and skip. Move it back a little bit. Again, so what I was showing there is what we've got some foreshortening. It's getting closer to you as it gets there. Now it's a little advanced when it comes to drawing, but that's all right. Okay, so the arm is swung around like that. And the stone has come out there and skip and skip and skip, and we finish with the stone here. And one of the things I like to do whenever I draw a treant in these drawings is to include a squirrel in the drawing too that's living in the tree. Now I could have the squirrel over here also throwing its own little skipping acorn. And the two of them could be looking at each other and smiling because they're having a good time. There we go. I think that's what we're going to go with. 5 a.m. Oh, 5 a.m. where you are. Wow, that is very early. Uh, chased for an art piece, second opinion all day. All right. There we go. That's our very loose um, sketch for this. Now I'm going to drop the size of the size of the brush because these guys are smaller. I want to have a little extra flexibility when it comes to uh, doing the inking for them. So where do I want? I think I want to start with the arm. I always talk about saying start where you're most confident when you're inking. Actually, I do that when I'm drawing too. I start with the thing I'm most confident in after I've done the rough sketch. But for inking, for sure, start with what you're most confident in, because you want, when you put a line down, in fact, particularly your first lines down, you want them to be correct. You want them not to have to change, because if you everything in a drawing builds around what's already there. And if you put down a line and then have to and then you have to change that very first line, you're gonna have to change everything else you drew also. So you want your first lines to be ones you're confident in, because the rest of the drawing is going to be built around them. There we go. And have him looking over there, because he and his squirrel buddy are going to be smiling and having a good time together. Maybe both of them are skipping acorns instead of stones. I'm going to erase these to see. I put those on, and if I'm going to change them to acorns, I need to erase that. If I'd started over there, and I don't know why I would have started there, I'd have to change everything else around them. But here we go. Okay, that's looking pretty good. This may not be the most complex Treant I've ever drawn, but I think for our drawing here, he's going to look pretty good. I see some chat going on. I don't know if that's something you want me to answer. I'm going to have to look up in a second. Part of the challenge of this show, of course, is that while I'm looking down doing some drawing, I can't see what's going on in the chat room. I'm putting on some lighter lines, which represent the strips of bark on our treant. All right, and then over here, I'm going to have our squirrel buddy also throwing a stone. And let's see, drawn that. Now I'm going to go to the larger larger brush, because this is going to be drawn closer to us. Same thing for our squirrel buddy, throwing out sploosh and sploosh and like that there. All right, I think that's looking pretty good. Probably going to want a little bit of hints of water. But let's turn off the sketch layer and see what we've got. There we go. That's what we have when all is said and done. And that is a pretty good start. I was thinking that maybe I could put a fish or something in there, but again, if I was going for this to be a finished piece, I probably would, but for what we've got going on here. Hello, Surreptitious. Thank you for joining us. Sorry, I've had my head down. I didn't see you come in. Okay. Let's see. What else? I want to maybe put a little bark along the nose there. Okay, Treant. Skipping stones. Let's go and do some color. Let's put some color on this. Grab that gloaming brush again. We'll come back. Do a nice green. I think it's little. I don't know. If you'd asked me where to start with the coloring, I wouldn't have said, "Hey, you know what you should do is start with the leaves." But I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it, and I'm trusting that feeling that that's a good place for me to start this. And then we're going to grab that and put some color on the Treant. Now there, see that shape within a shape idea is I'm playing that into the posture, right? This part I'm coloring in a curve like that to mirror the curve of that body. For the leg, I'm coloring in an up and down style to mesh that. Those are the shapes within that character. Right? If I was just doing standard coloring, I would just go la 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 and fill up the space. That's the kind of thing when I'm talking about doing shape within a shape. That's the kind of thing that I'm trying to encourage you to think about. Find the shapes and the directions within the character and draw towards them. All right, and then we're going to use that darker color for the acorns and an even lighter, different color for the top of the acorns. So it doesn't look like the same color as the bark. And then our squirrel. I don't know. So where I grew up in the Northeast in the U.S., just about all the squirrels were gray. Out here in the Pacific Northwest, a lot of them are red squirrels, red and brown squirrels, to the point that I heard at one point a a person. I don't remember whether it was a kid or just an adult that I was around, marveling that they actually saw a gray squirrel like on TV or in cartoons, and it struck me as strange because I'd never even thought about it. But when I realized that they grew up around here, and most of the squirrels they saw were red and brown, that yeah, then seeing a gray squirrel would be a different kind of thing, kind of not an everyday thing. Right here, I'm going to color in the water as a flat, uniform piece, but I'm going to come in and use the eraser to create the splashes as white. If you're not working digitally, you're going to want to not do that. You want to be a little more careful as you put the color in. All right, what else have we got here? Now it's time to do a little shading. I'm going to start with the water. Water's kind of a difficult thing to shade. If you think about it, it's when I talk about doing shading on other things, I say imagine where the light's coming from, put shading on the other side of it, and go from there. Water is weird because water, one of its primary descriptors, is always moving. It's not, you don't have one side of it, and it's one big lake. It's just one big thing of water, but there are differences in color within it. So you find the waves and pick one side of the waves. Often it's the back side, but let's say mirror the wave nearby it also. So let's see what I did here. I'll put it on in a different color so you can see it and then erase it. Put it on in green. I went behind the wave, but then I also mimic the wave a little bit with an emphasis toward one side, the left side, which is where I'm going to put the shadows on the other creatures. But it's tough. But doing coloring on water is a difficult thing. That's advanced. Okay, let's come back to our Treant. Take that color and make a darker version of it. And like I say, go on in this case, I'm picking the left side and the underside of the different shapes within the Treant. Oops. Just add a little splash of that dark color to create the idea that there's a shadow there. Within the tree, I created shapes within the tree that weren't necessarily there, so I'm going to follow those shapes. Do a little bit of the same thing, just to give the idea that there's some depth. Anything that's further away gets a little shadow too. Anything that's on the far side of the light that has something blocking it gets a little shadow too. There we go. And our squirrel, come back, I've got a darker gray already, so I'll just use that a little bit. The acorns, same kind of thing, darker version of that on the far side. Just put a little splash, just a little split. But there we go. I think, oh, you know what I want to do? I want to take that color I put for the beach, the sandy color, do the same thing a little bit for shadow, little shadow. Like so. And there we have. I come in here, back to my inking brush, and I drop a little stand in the corner. We have ourselves the Treant skipping stones, or in this case, acorns. And there's our second drawing for the evening. I look up, you see, Michael says 9 skips are your record. Wow, it's been a long time since I skipped stones, but it would have been pretty rare that I skipped as many as 9. um, Looking at what you have to say, Kilovanov, about color. My own perceptions with color, as it is sold separately. Black and white are the value of gold, while pink and green are painfully abundant. Here's the thing: you got to make what works for you. Everyone's versions are different, and that's another thing I want to stress in all of this. What you see, what you're feeling, do it. I mean, my advice, I try and keep it general because you've got to interpret it. You got to make it work for you. I don't know. Sometimes maybe I get a little too adamant. I try not to, but I'm an old guy. These things happen. Surreptitious, yes. Treant skipping stones, that is the prompt. So there we go. Remember the Weeping Willow playing the harp in King's Quest V. I don't remember that, but I'm glad that I've captured that somehow. Hopefully that's a good memory. Ooh, pardon me. Okay, second drawing done. I'm taking a little sip. What do I want to do? I'm thinking about. Here's the thing. Let me know if you guys would find this interesting. So I got a package today that I haven't opened yet. I know what's in it. And I was thinking about doing an unboxing video, which I haven't done for a while. But instead of doing a separate unboxing video, we could have a little unboxing break where I open it and show you, because it is drawing related. Let me know if that would be of interest to you, and if not, then I'm also going to do it. If I don't do it here, I will do the unboxing video, so it'll be available somewhere. And I just don't know if you guys want to just get on to the new drawing, do a third drawing, get out of here, and come back for unboxing sometime later, or if you really want to see what I have sitting here in a box right now. Look at that. That's the box. All right, got that. Let's reset here. Let's reset everything. I'm going to look up and see what the chat has to say and go that way. So we're going to turn off group 2 and turn on group 3. Go back and reset my brush to inking and blue. And turn on the encounter tables, and we're all set. So let's see. All right, I see 3 people saying they want to see unboxing. So now we're going to take a break. We're going to take a break and do an unboxing video, special unboxing section for Random Encounters. And that unboxing, here, I've got a package here of a, I'm not going to turn it around because it has my address on it. But this is a thing that I backed on Kickstarter. The beginning of the year or late last year, I don't remember exactly when, but it has arrived today. And it is drawing related. So, let's just kind of pull here. Whoa, satisfying sound. As I open the box, turn it this way, because if I do that, then I'm opening it away so you can't see the the address. But come on, open it up, and here we go. Inside, I've got something. Throw that over there. Still wrapped in bubble. What could it be? It's a book. It's a book. And it is the latest book from the Etherington brothers, called "How to Think When You Draw." And I love these guys. They are online. They're on Facebook, and mostly they're on Instagram, but they're kind of all over the place. You can find them. Look up Etherington Brothers. And they do this series of stuff that's available for free. They do these "How to Think When You Draw." They take a topic each time and do a little lesson on how to do it. These guys are professional illustrators in Europe. And so here's an interesting one on the spine, how it works physically. Get a good breakdown on how it really works, and then some examples of how to use it in your drawing. Very often they will be, I bet this one's a two-part one. Oh, well, they've got a bunch. This is on the pelvis, which is another section of the skeleton, how it works. But they cover all sorts of things. Here's one on shorts, how to make shorts work. Let's flip over here. We got one on ravens. So they do a very, very wide range of topics, and they're all available online for free. Everything that's in this book you can find online. Here's one on jumping vehicles. They've got tips on how to approach it, ways to, what you should think about in constructing it, how you can work with it. This stuff is great. Here we go. Boulders. There's a whole page on boulders. So I love the how to, and look up how to think when you draw, or how to think when you draw, and you'll find their stuff. Like I say, all of the lessons are online. They post them for free, at least one a week. I think it might be 2 or 3 a week. And then once a year, they put out a new compilation of them into a book. This is volume 8, and I've got them all. I've been buying these since they put out the first one, and I love them. I love them. Every year when they come in, this becomes the book that I spend any free time that I'm not reading. Rather than a comic or a novel, I'll be looking at this for the next month or so, just all the different lessons. And one of the interesting things is each volume, when it comes out, comes with it says encyclopedia on it, but what it is an index for all the topics they've covered and where to find them. And it's an index for all of 8 volumes. So I've got versions of this index that cover, volumes 1 to 3, and then a version that covers volumes 1 to 4, and now I finally got this for the 7th or 8th time. I've got an index that covers all of it. So look here. You can see that each of the listings names the thing, like. Let's see. Since it's facing I'm trying to read it off my screen because it's now facing away from me. But I bet shorts is on there. But you can see the shorts entry. And it'll see that it says volume 8 and the page. So they've got all of the listings on all of the volumes here in the index. This is the brand new index, 6-page index? 6 pages. Now up to 6 full pages of entries for how to think when you draw. So I'm super excited about that. After we finish today, I'll probably spend the rest of the evening looking over what's in the new volume. So, there was our unboxing. How to think when you draw. The thing about this is they each year they print the new one and they reprint the old ones, but they mostly print to order. Like they don't carry a big stock of these, and they run out pretty quickly. And then if you want to get them, you've got to back the next Kickstarter or backer kit. I don't remember who they're using these days, but you got to back their next funding drive if you want to get the book. Because when it's all said and done, they have a very limited supply to sell afterwards, and they sell through very quickly, and then there's nothing left until the next time around. So, but each time, if you want to get one of the old ones, you can order it, and they'll print new ones. They'll print, as I say, print to order, and so you could order all 8, and they'll send them to you. Or you could just get the new one. But there you go. My advice, people who are just learning to draw to experts, I think everyone gets something out of this. All my cartooning friends locally love these. We bring them together and we share them. We talk about them when they come in. So, woohoo! The end. Thank you for tuning in for my unboxing. Okay. Let's come back here and have a sip of my drink. We had a Treant skipping stones. We had a witch back to school. We had an unboxing video. Now it's time to do one more drawing. We're going to go back and roll the dice one more time, get one more prompt, and we'll wrap it up for the evening. There we go. We got a 5 and a 1. 5 and 1. Which is a mimic tire swing. That sounds fun. Mimic tire swing is our last drawing for the evening. We'll come back and turn that off and go to our sketch. Now, a tire swing, of course. And tire. We've got another tree in a drawing, but this one's not going to be alive. We got a tree with a limb that comes out and a tire on a rope. Is a tire swing. But this tire swing is a mimic, which those of you who know D&D at all means it's a monster that wants to eat you. It pretends to be something else, and then tries to take a bite out. Very often they're shown as treasure chests. And when you try and open it, it turns out it's a mimic and it attacks you. So in this case, we're going to have the tire swing have teeth. Now, trying to figure out with a kid approaching the tire swing. Because our choices could be, again, come over here and draw on the side, could have a tire swing and the kid's in it already, and the tire swing is going to chomp on him. That seems a little mean. Not very funny. What I've got here is I'm trying to figure out the posture for the kid, but I've got a tire swing here and a kid who's surprised. Oh my God, it's a mimic. I'm just trying to think if there's a middle version, or if there's something I can do with the kid to let him get back a little. I don't know. Any ideas? This is a tough one, right? It seems like all or nothing, one way or the other. Either the mimic is coming after the kid, or the kid is somehow safe. I don't know. What could a kid do against a tire swing if it turned out to be a creature? Maybe that's the question: is what could the kid do? Like the tire swing, this tire swing here is getting ready to eat him. What would make the tire swing go, "Oh my God, how did that happen? What's the kid doing?" All right, if the kid turned out to, I'm looking for an answer. I don't have one. Right, I'm thinking right now. Right, the kid is coming up and is shocked by what he sees somehow. It doesn't strike me as funny. I mean, the kid could be coming in with a sword to get the tire swing. Now, I guess maybe the joke could be, what could a kid have other than the sword? I kind of like this idea better than having the mimic winning, but maybe the kid could be scratching the mimic. That, you know what? I think that there's a good story to be. I think that, as I will often say in some of these rejections, I think what you've got there is a good idea for a 3 or 4 or 6 panel comic, where you start with the tire swing, ready to get the kid. The kid comes in and somehow tames the tire swing mimic. It could be, if it was an actual tire on a bicycle, or something like that, we could have the kid have an air pump and be pumping up the tire swing. This is kind of the could have a whip in a chair like a lion tamer. Again, these seem like good ideas for stories. I think I'm just gonna have the kid jumping in with a sword. There we go. Let's just do it. Let's just do it. Now, could feed it school lunch and make it sick. Again, good story, not not so good for what is got to be a standalone drawing here. The whole story has to be told in this one drawing. That's the challenge when you're doing comics in this one panel format is anything that's a story that needs explanation is probably not going to work because you've got to be able to get the audience to look at one drawing and understand the story. One drawing and uh, a quick caption at best, a word balloon or a caption underneath, like we did earlier. And that's just, you know, that's a challenge. That's why doing this kind of cartooning is a challenge. Why it's not the easiest. In fact, I know there's some cartoonists whose work I'm very taken by, who just don't function well in this type of cartoon. They do standard either comic book or um, daily comic strip style drawings and gags, but they struggle to to do single panels. And the main reason is just what I'm talking about. It's that you've got to you got to get the whole story done in a single panel. The whole thing has to be there. You, all right, and then our kid here is coming in. Swinging a sword. Like so. I often say that finding a good posture is one of the things you want to start practicing as you're drawing. So you aren't just having the uh, the characters standing there flat-footed, or um, the posture will say something about what they're doing or who they are or different things. With the Treant on the first drawing, I wanted to get that arced body to show that he was moving. It helps to sell that feeling of motion, a a character in motion. Here, I want to sell this idea that this kid is leaping up because I don't have enough room to show the whole thing. Maybe the thing that it is that this is not a real sword, it's a wooden sword. Because he's just a kid. And let's see, we need to get our tree limb with the rope going around it. Do the same thing I talked about before on the Treant with just some wiggly lines like this to represent the bark growing on the tree. You know what? I didn't. I'm finding this more amusing than I thought I would. I thought that as this was going along, I'm thinking, well, it'll work, but it won't really feel amusing. But it does to me. Part of it is getting these postures right. And this kid's coming in hot. This uh, mimic thought he had a nice, easy meal. There we go. This does feel like there's a story going with it. Don't tread on me, sucker. That's funny. All right, let's go and go to the color layer, switch to our gloaming brush, and again, I'm going to take the faux black, the dark blue faux black for the tire. And a lighter version for the side of the tire. So we don't want to since the tire's got a we're going to see its side and kind of this front facing. We need a different color for each of those. So it slightly different shade. In fact, I think I want to make that first one even a little darker. want to give our mimic yellow eyes just to show that it's evil. Add a little off-white to the teeth so that they don't feel pearly white. They feel a little icky and dangerous. Let's see. Give his sweat bullets red because he's worried about that. I'm going to go with an orangish color for the rope. Very often do choose orange for ropes, which is not particularly real, but it works in cartoons. And here we go. We're going to grab our standard pink flesh color. There we go. Let's see. Now we just need a color for the tree trunk. And here, despite all those lines, they're not really changing the shape. So I am just doing a flat, straight color. Because also, the tree, it doesn't matter. The tree is a background element. So again, you don't want to put details where they don't matter because your audience will look at them and pay attention to them. There we go. I think that might be it. Everything is kind of. I don't want to add shadow on the tree again because a tree doesn't matter, and our two characters are so small that I don't really feel like shadows are going to help them too much. I think that this really just kind of sells the story. If anything, take a little bit of the shirt's blue and the shorts green to show movement, and the swords, the wooden swords color. There we go. I think I want to switch over here to my inking brush and put a little stand on it and say, well, where do I want to put it? It's often it's a weird decision I don't talk about. You want to put your signature on when you're done. You want it to be there so people will see it, but you don't like I could put it right here, but then that seems weird. It seems you want it to be clear that it's your signature, but you don't want it to take away from the drawing itself. So I'm going to make it a little smaller and put it down in the corner here. If I got rid of that grass, I could make it a little larger and put it down in the corner. But I won't. It's good enough. Here we go. We got a mimic tire swing for our third drawing today. Done. For the football throwing, I was saying about an overly formal caption of the kid saying to the coach how about the mimic tire. Yeah, you know what? The idea of a tire hanging, I do like that idea. Again, a good story to build on of that throwing a football through the tire swing as practice, and the mimic. I mean, if this was a three-panel comic, I can imagine doing like a week of mimic tire swing gags. Right? It starts with the first one with a tire swing of just introducing the fact that I'm a mimic and I'm looking like a tire swing because I'm gonna get some kids, and then punchline. I don't know what the punchline is, and then have a series of things like the throwing the throwing football through it, the feeding at a school lunch. A lot of the things that you've said here, which would make good 3-beat or 4-beat gags. And then altogether, you'd wind up with 5 or 6 cartoons, comic strips, that would make a full week. Wow, now if only we were doing a comic strip. Oh well, maybe in some other life. If I ever wind up doing some kind of fantasy-themed comic strip, and I have an opportunity, I will work in the tire swing mimic week. But that's not tonight. All right, let me have a sip of my soda, and we'll do an outro and get on with our weekends. Here we go. We've got a mimic tire swing. That was our third drawing this week. Our second drawing was a Treant skipping stones, or in this case, skipping acorns. And we started off with a witch back to school. And those were our 3 drawings this week. Had a lot of fun. You fine folks always make that so. I have a good time hanging out and drawing with you all. I'm glad you could join me. Folks who are in the chat, Michael in chat, T. Robert, Surreptitious, Injun Joe, who else is here? The person whose name I couldn't pronounce. Krilivanov, 8, who was here at 5 in the morning on their time. Thank you for joining us. And those of you who've been watching, because I see by our views, we've got people who are watching who are not in the chat, and that's A-OK. You're always welcome. You're always welcome here. And those of you who are watching on replay, you're always welcome here too. I hope you're having a good time. Hope you're enjoying it. And hopefully doing some drawings of your own. Now, you guys had some great ideas here. I'd love it if you took some of them and worked on them yourselves. Just did some drawing. We did the basic outline. Maybe you can use what I drew as a springboard. You can do your own interpretation of it, or you can do kind of like on my Wednesday show. I'm always drawing homages, interpretations of other people's art. You can take what I've done here and do your interpretation of it to fill out some of these gags. Maybe do a comic, a multi-panel or multi-page comic that tells some of these story ideas that we thought up that weren't completely appropriate for single panel gags. Because you guys had some very good ones. You often do. I'd love to see that. If you guys put that together, please send it to me. Let me see what it is. And with your permission, I'll share it with other folks here. Anyway, thank you all for joining me. It was a good night. Had a good time. Always do. If you're enjoying this, and I hope you are, I hope that you will please give it a like, give it a thumbs up, whatever platform you're watching it on, give it a heart, whatever the platform has as that format, please do it. It's helpful because it gets this program shown to other people who hopefully will join us. Will join the merry band of Random Encounter folks. Also, if you're watching on replay, take the time to leave a comment. Leave a comment. And if you're watching live and you have a moment or two when we're done, please leave a comment. That is another, it's a huge help to getting the platform, getting the algorithm. I know we hate that term, but getting the algorithm to show this program to other people. And it doesn't have to be much. It can just be a quick, hey, way to go, keep it up, buddy. Or, oh, that mimic thing, here's an idea I had. Or, here's a story about a tire swing from when I was a kid. Or, when I threw skipping stones, I got to 12. Any old thing. Stan, just shut up and get the heck off my screen. Put that there, too. I'll even say thank you. Also, Michael in chat brings up, we mentioned the idea of doing coloring pages. So I'm thinking about doing that. And if you want, I'll tell you what, if I do coloring pages, the question of how to get them to you is the first one up there. Now, I might create a Substack like I do for my Wednesday show, or maybe I'll just use the Wednesday show Substack, 50 years in the dungeon.substack.com, and that could be where you get the coloring pages. Or I will definitely make them available to people who are members of my Patreon, patreon.com/Stanax. And this being what it is, I will make them available for free, for even if you're just a free member of the Patreon. Patreon, of course, is famous for give me money, and I want some money. But you can also become a free member of the Patreon community, and you get you don't get all the stuff. I'll be upfront. I'll be honest about that. But there are posts and things that free members get, and it's not like it's nothing. It's just that people who are paying the money are getting more. But if I do these coloring pages for this, I think that would be a great place for me to give them away. So, if you want to go become a free member of my Patreon community at patreon.com/Stanax. Blue Sky, Blue Sky's another good place. Yeah, there are lots of opportunities. The question, I'll tell you. I talk on another program about the business of being a freelance cartoonist. But yeah, part of the question is making them available in a way that is discoverable by lots of new people, but also gets me something. If only, like the thing that I get if you sign up for my Patreon or my Substack or one of these other things is that I now have a connection to you, and I can tell you about new things, and you enter the Staniverse. You enter my universe, and I start to be able to include you in my community. A marketer would say I get to cultivate you. I try not to think that way, but you know what? That's business. That's how the business part of it works. Posting it on Blue Sky and such is works a little, but if all I ever get in touch with you is through that, then it doesn't work that much for me. I'll be honest. Again, got to be honest about the realities of this whole business thing. But as I say, if I go through with this and I'm feeling like it's a good idea to experiment with it some way, it will be free. Now, exactly how you get it, haven't figured that out yet. So stay tuned. Come back next week, and maybe I'll have an answer. All right. That's it. We're done for the evening. Have a good night. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate you. I will talk to you soon. Till then, take care, everyone. Bye.